Alright, finally, we got it working. Sorry, Streamlabs was being uncooperative, and my cell phone has been having some major issues as well, and Tubi itself has actually been having some major issues with its likes and dislikes and adds to my list. But this video is about... Sorry, let me start over. I'm Brendan, and this video is about the houses October built 1 and 2. Houses October built came out in 2014. The houses October built 2 came out in 2017. Today I am going to be covering exactly what these movies are about, as well as the little Easter eggs you can catch of the little doll person that you can see there in the thumbnail for each of the movies. Because several times throughout the movies you'll catch characters like that walking around. If you watch the movie more than once, which is something I typically do, then you'll notice these things the second time around. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get the trailer pulled up here. I have a couple more things I gotta pull up really quick because of the technical difficulties I spoke of earlier. It's never easy to do something you want to do in life. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it requires work. But if you want to sit around and be lazy all day and do nothing, I mean, that works out just fine, right? Let's see. The Houses October Built is a 2014 American found footage horror film and the directorial debut of Bobby Rowe. It was produced by Zach Andrews and Steven Schneider. Rowe and Andrews both star in the film alongside Randy Schaefer, Mikey Rowe, and Jeff Larson. The film's plot follows 5 friends who set out on a road trip in search of haunted house attractions to find themselves targeted by a mysterious and disturbed group. This mysterious and disturbed group is known as Blue Skeleton, which is something that's referenced several times throughout the movie series. Spoiler alert. Kind of, but that's kind of what this whole thing is based around. You know, if we're talking about the actual story. What the movie is mostly based around is just a group of friends in a motorhome taking, a trip around the state so they can see different haunted houses and go to different attractions, trying to find the scariest attraction there is, extreme thrill seekers. Not all of them, but a couple. So, the film was given a limited theatrical release on October 10th, 2014 and was released to home video on January 6th, 2015. And then, I'm not going to talk about the second one yet, so I'll have to hold off. The film begins in Diaz rests to a dazed and bloodied Brandy being put in a truck and driven off. Days earlier, a group of friends from Ohio, Brandy, her boyfriend Zach, cameraman Jeff, Bobby, and Mikey decided to take a trip to visit some of America's scariest haunted house attractions. In the days leading up to Halloween, they plan to record their experiences and interview the actors who work there. This leads to disturbing revelations about the establishment's operations, such as a failure to perform background checks, utilizing criminals and disturbed individuals as actors, using real corpses as props, and performing dangerous stunts for the sake of scares. This all boils down to a bunch of people with an overactive imagination, like myself, trying to read more into what's going on than what actually is. So by going to these haunted houses, it's not just about going to these haunted houses. Like I said, they're extreme thrill seekers, at least a couple of them, and they're trying to find anything they can that's wrong about these haunted houses that doesn't quite fit into place. And throughout the movie, several things happen that can't be explained rationally, so that ties into the whole blue skeleton thing, though. So, anyways, as the movie progresses, we hear about Blue Skeleton, a mysterious group that moves to a different secret location, every year and is said to employ real torture and illicit scares. Zach grows agitated with what he views as pedestrian scares. The group also antagonizes haunted house staff by filming and being disruptive. But the staff's animosity grows sinister when the friends are followed by a clown and a young actress from an earlier house, despite the groups having traveled over hundreds of miles. That's another thing they do, is upset some of the workers who work at these attractions by bringing in their cameras, because you're not supposed to film. It's common knowledge in some of these haunted houses, especially when you go to places like Universal Studios, Halloween Horror Nights. And I mentioned that, and I think my last two, at least my first video, the one I was talking about what's trending on our streaming services, and I think I mentioned it in my podcast. So anyway, we fast forward and they're at a haunted house. I think the haunted house is, you have to forgive me, it's the one in Texas, and it's the, I don't know if it's the Scareplex or it's the one with multiple floors, kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It's losing my, it's hard to keep track, but, because I'm just trying to remember from memory here, and they go to so many of them, so feel bad for me for forgetting, okay? But anyways, at this particular attraction, Jeff is chased by a man in a bunny costume brandishing an axe though the man turns out to be an actor, and then he basically just taunts him and brushes it off like it's nothing after making a big deal out of it. And then he reunites with one of his buddies, and then they go back, and then Zach pulls these other guys off to the side, or I don't know, they just engage in conversation somehow. However people engage in conversation, don't ask me, I'm terrible at it. So anyway, Zach meets other guests to inform him that they experienced Blue Skeleton and that it is in Louisiana this year. They also tell him of a bar where they can find a man who can take them there. Yeah, this man that they are supposed to meet at this bar is Giggles, which is just basically, spoiler alert, a sadistic weirdo in a clown costume, basically just gets in their face because they try and film him in the bar, and everybody in the bar is just slow dancing and acting strange and dressed up in their outfits and stuff, and they corner Brandy in the bathroom and a bunch of other weird stuff, and then they gotta man up and act like they cared, even though they left her to begin with, so screw them. But anyways, Bobby finds a video that somebody had filmed inside of their motor carriage. I don't know what to call it, RV, motorhome, whatever. But anyways, in the motorhome, in the recreational vehicle, they find that there's a video uploaded on the internet where somebody broke in and filmed them while they were asleep and took a couple of their things. So, also a cow heart is also left inside the refrigerator. So if you don't know what that was, it's a cow heart. It's never actually mentioned in the movie what it is. It just looks like a giant slab of meat. By the way, I don't know if that's actually true or not either. Well, I was going to say this because the thing is huge, and I don't know how much blood the cow is pumping through its system, but if it was that big, then it'd be like a breakthrough in technology or biometrics or whatever you call it. Anyways, so a cow is left inside of the refrigerator. No, I'm kidding. But anyways, it makes Brandy and Bobby grow reluctant to continue their adventure. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be playing this on a loop. This is the only footage we have. Nearly 2,500 attractions open every year. How are you guys supposed to know that if the trailer isn't playing in the background? It's supposed to loop. But anyway, note that these movies can also be watched through Hulu if you want one advertisement instead of multiple advertisements during your viewer experience. That's what Tubi is. It's just basically Hulu, but with more advertisements. So anyways, the group arrives at a rendezvous point after following instructions from their connections through to Blue Skeleton, and they arrive at the Halloween festival. In the commotion, Jeff is lured to an alley, and this is like Bourbon Street we're talking here, so everyone's crazy. So Jeff is lured to an alley and finds himself cornered by the clown, the young actress, and the actor in the bunny suit. The masked group attack and abduct him. The rest of the group tries to call him, but only get a message of another location. There they are approached by a bus and receive a text telling them to leave the RV or else Jeff will be killed. Zach complies, while the rest of the group is dragged out by the attackers. The friends are hooded and bound before being driven off into the bus. If you don't know what hooded and bound means, basically it's someone puts a hood on over your head and then they tie your hands behind your back so you can't move or see. It's basically basic like military transport type stuff, so, or whatever, people who want to take you to another location do when they don't want you to see where they're going or you're going. Obviously they can see where they're going unless they're driving with a bag over their head too, but I wouldn't recommend that for road safety. So while the rest of the group panics, Zach insists it is a part of the Blue Skeleton experience, and Zach is also annoying as heck because Zach never shuts up about Blue Skeleton, which is why they were in this mess to begin with. The men are dragged out one location while Brandy is driven to a second location, so keep in mind that everyone but Brandy is separated and they're all running through these haunted houses experiencing these crazy things, all of which they're filming with their cameras, and Brandy is driven away from everyone else. She is given a camera and told to film everything she sees. The group members wander through their respective rooms. Zach, in a dark room, is bludgeoned by an actor. The rest of the group is terrorized before being buried alive in coffins by Blue Skeleton members. And it's important to note that the end of the movie begins the second movie. So it's not just the end of the first movie, it's also the beginning of the second movie, which we'll get into next. But it's funny to me that the cast just plays themselves. Brandy is Brandy, Zach is Zach, Bobby is Bobby, Mikey is Mikey, Jeff is Jeff. And then we got some other people. Robert Benjamin as Off-Duty Clown. Feaster Bunny, that's a funny name. Campfire Man. Donald Dantzler is the guy who's like, they're all building a campfire and they're like basically being disrespectful about the people who live around there, and then a guy calls him out on it, and then everyone shuts up because they basically stole his fire that he started in the middle of the woods, because apparently nobody in the group knows how to make a fire, which isn't surprising. The film premiered at the Telluride Horror Show and became the first movie to sell out the Sheridan Opera House. The UK premiere was held at the Edinburgh International Film Festival on June 27th, 2015. And it got an approval rating of 60% through Rotten Tomatoes. I call it Stinky Tomatoes. And an average review base of 5.65 out of 10 based on 15 reviews. Wow. Steve Barton of Dread Central, which, may be associated, well, it is associated with Terrifier, which is another video, hint, that I will hopefully be doing in the near future, telling you the complete story of Art, who has become a very popular character. At the time when the movie first released, he wasn't, and I'm actually close friends with the 3 female leads of that movie. But we'll talk about all of that in that video, because I don't want to derail this. Bloody Disgusting editor-in-chief John Squires wrote that every once in a while an exceptional found footage film comes along that reminds us that the cinematic gimmick can be really effective when properly executed. But see, it's not just about found footage, it's about showing the world what is out there in terms of haunted houses and attractions, which is what I really like about the theme of this movie. Because I have a channel on YouTube called October Frights, and you can see some of my old haunt footage. And also, I've recommended this channel a million times, but for the October season, you'll definitely want to check out Hollywood Gothic. He doesn't upload as frequently as he used to, but he's still got a lot of good footage from a lot of haunts that have taken place over the years, and it's one of those walkthrough type things, but he does it really well. He has his own music, and he just adds a certain charm to it. Anyway, got a couple awards. Best Actress, Brandy Schaefer, of course. Which, it's perfect that I say that she was the best actress in the movie, because she was the center of the film, and you'll see why. Because now we get to the second one. We fast forward several years later to 2017, when they acquired the money to actually produce the film. Which, by the way, I never covered that. That's always a big thing. I have to cover the budget for the film, if ever possible. The budget for the film, I actually don't know what the budget for the film is. But you gotta think that it was filmed at several of America's scariest haunted houses, so they did use that to their advantage to save money, which is actually very smart. You actually can't down them for using haunted house attractions in their movies, because, just look at what I'm doing right now. I'm taking the cheapest approach to making high quality videos. So, it's the same thing they did with their movie. They took the cheapest approach to making a high quality movie. By the way, Brandy still looks really good. Sorry. It's a creeper note. Anyway. Everyone else looks like crap. Who's surprised? So anyways, leading into the second movie, if I can stop the uncontrollable dysfunctionality of my technology here. The original title, Hellbent, in some countries, which I'm sure we've all been hellbent or at least once in our lives, no, never mind. But it's a 2017 found footage horror film directed by Bobby Rowe, who also stars in the film. And you're going to love the plot of this. A sequel to the 2014 film The House is October Built. Its plot follows 5 characters suffering from trauma a year after the events of the previous film, wherein they were kidnapped and held at a haunted house attraction. Oh, by spoiler alert, by the way. I was supposed to say that before the video, but I'm terrible at that, and I hate spoilers myself, so screw me, right? No. Oh, don't screw me. The theatrical release poster looks pretty sweet. As you'll notice, the doll lady, I don't know what exactly to call her. Actually, I think there's something I can call her. Yeah. Okay. Okay, after being rescued from their ordeal at the hands of the Blue Skeleton Haunted House's 5 friends, Brandy, Zach, Bobby, Mikey, and Jeff decide to get through their post-traumatic stress. And by post-traumatic stress, they mean just Brandy, because she was the only one traumatized from the event. Which isn't funny at all. Brandy refuses to be a part of the road trip because, let me go back. They want to do another road trip, but this time they promise that it's going to be all safe and all fine, and they're not going out to seek out a place called Hellbent, and it has nothing to do with Blue Skeleton or anything like that, and this is just a fun thing where we're going to go on zombie runs and play hayride paintball and do all that kind of fun stuff, all the cool stuff that kids and young teenagers do on Halloween, an old classic Halloween. So she finally agrees to come along as the group agrees not to do any of the extreme haunts that I just specified, like Blue Skeleton, where they're all being buried alive. Which, by the way, if you've only seen the first movie up to this point, through the span of me doing this stream, then you know, which could never be possible, but if you've already seen the first movie and haven't seen the second one, then you know that it makes no sense that they got out alive, and you're probably wondering how. So, well, let us review. Brandy was dropped off in the middle of nowhere during the day. This footage shown right here shows that a officer of the law found one of the Blue Skeleton members, but then when he goes to open the coffin, no one's there. Okay? It doesn't show that in the trailer, but no one's in the coffin. Next thing you know, Brandy's back on board. Some guy's blowing fire out of his mouth, hanging chandeliers from his nipples and whatever. I don't know. Whatever they do during the October season, entertain. But the 5 move on to Georgia this time around, not Texas, where they partake in zombie-themed attractions. They see a road sign that says "Seek out Hellbent" during a redneck-themed haunt. Wow. They encounter an actor in a Blue Skeleton mask. And the manager... Oh, I'm jumping way too far ahead. Sorry, it's the trailer. It's distracting, man. Everybody's at the... what is it? What's that famous guy who does the music? I don't know. I was trying to think of some way... I don't listen to all the mainstream pop stuff, so I don't know anything about it. So whatever's popular there, everyone went to see that, and that's what that was. Alright. So upon agreeing not to do any extreme haunts, Brandy meets with Dr. Margie Care to talk about coping with her past trauma. The group then goes to visit the Halloween capital of the world in Anoka, Minnesota, and a haunted hayride where they are told to find the extreme haunt Hellbent by basically some dude in a creepy mask. He's like, yeah, I'd seek out Hellbent if you want a real experience, but the corn maze isn't scary, so don't go to that. Also, jumping back in time again, when Brandy's with the doctor, they're basically going through a giant old prison or old asylum or something, as she's explaining how she needs to get over her past trauma, as if that's supposed to help. So, after they encounter the actor in the blue skeleton mask, Brandy becomes upset that this seems to be a setup. Brandy is the smartest character in this entire series, so I can see why she won an award. Was the one who won the award for best acting in the first movie. But the group offers her more money, and money talks, and Brandy doesn't walk when the money talks, so she agrees to go to Hellbent, which is actually never stated in the movie, as far as I know. She never says, I agree to go to Hellbent, so, but that's the claim here. So anyways, the blue skeleton gasses their van and they awaken to being moved to the site of Hellbent in Outer Banks, NC, North Carolina. I don't know. Inside the haunt, they are given zippered, hooded sweatshirts before being chloroformed. Brandy wakes up and is, well... See, every time I have to stop myself because they don't have all the facts, which is why I'm here. So, the writers, jeez. Just little details that matter. So these hoodies that they were put on were designed to look like skeletons, and they would glow in the dark when the lights were shut off because of, I guess, of whatever puts off, with black lights, which enables certain things to glow. Which is why next time you go over to your best friend's house, just bring a black light. If you want to know about his relationship life. Oh, kidding. Why would I say that? It's extremely inappropriate. If you're wondering why I added it to my list, if you subtly caught that, then it's because I watch it on Hulu. I don't watch it on Tubi. Anyways, Brandy wakes up and is led through the haunt alone by a masked man. She's then made to watch Mikey be doused in gasoline and set on fire. Which, by the way, I don't think we actually ever see him set on fire. So that's important to note. Bobby is being waterboarded with blood and hit with a cinder block. Cinder block, keep that in mind. More like a piece of styrofoam. And Zach has his arm cut off with a chainsaw. When she escapes from the masked man, she finds Jeff. And the only reason she escapes the masked man is because she smashes a bottle over his head. Sure, that wasn't part of the haunt. But accidents happen in the workplace all the time, Sometimes people get a bottle to the face when they do this. Hang from the ceiling. Sorry, jumped ahead. When she escapes from the masked man, she finds Jeff hanged from the ceiling. Brandy is led to an exit by several women in porcelain doll masks. One of them, which being the porcelain doll mask girl, who was brought onto the recreational vehicle, and then also actually lived in a recreational vehicle for a short time, although the tenant was a jackass, but wait, I'm the tenant. Footage from earlier reveals that the woman in the porcelain mask... I need to stop getting sidetracked, because I'm reading the script. My thoughts. It's half thoughts, half a script, okay? You gotta have something to go off of, or I'm just gonna be pausing every 5 seconds to think of something to talk about. You gotta do your research, okay? Anyways, I'm just gonna explain it to you guys. I'm gonna go off script. Here we go. It's basically Brandy's led into a giant open area in the middle of the daylight where she can run anywhere she wants to. And then what does she do? She runs back around and corners herself, surrounded by a concrete wall. And then everyone in the blue skeleton masks surround her. And then the blue skeleton himself, the main one, whom, by the way, is never revealed, is placed at the top, staring down at all of them. And then she's basically freaking out, and she's handed a little tiny coffin, I guess because she's Coffin Girl, which is what they nickname her through the movie. So a Coffin Girl receives a little box, and inside of it is supposed to be money, but somebody put a gun inside of there, and then she takes the gun, she's pointing it at everybody, and then they reveal to be the characters that were with her throughout the first and second movie in the recreational vehicle. So, yay. Applause. YouTube caption applause. So, isn't that wonderful, guys? Sorry, I'm supposed to be playing this visualizer so you guys have something to watch while you listen. Anyways, so she, takes the gun, starts freaking out from her PTSD from them, and then what do? So you find out this whole thing was some elaborate plot for them to make money and become famous, at the expense of their innocent female friend, and basically torture the living heck out of her and put her through a bunch of crazy situations and put her on YouTube, embarrass her, basically make her feel like complete crap about herself in every way, shape, and form of the word. And then, they think it's okay because, ooh, money. And then she takes the gun and, sticks it up her butt and pulls the trigger. And then everyone starts freaking out, surrounding her. From the producer of Paranormal Activity, that's why this was a blessing, because you know what? When Paranormal Activity shits something out, it's got to be good. Anyways, apologies for the sidetrack during that important moment in the movie plot. But come to find out that she's not actually dead after everyone freaks out. And then it's because that one of the porcelain doll women led her into a room, showed her the footage of them orchestrating the whole first setup from the first movie and everything that's going on with this movie. So it's important to note that in the houses October built 1 and 2, nobody actually is physically harmed in the making of these films or as an actor in these films. So there are 0 deaths. The death toll is 0. So if you're looking for a movie without any sort of extreme violence or any death, meaning real violence or real death, that is fake in a movie, then these are perfect movies if you're looking for something to watch during the October season. But I got sidetracked again. Because, after she takes the blood pack, puts it in her mouth, fakes her death with the gun, and then, so she's not actually dead, she gets up. Then after that, cut to the blue skeleton. He looks pretty happy because he got like billions of views on his YouTube video. And so basically, Blue Skeleton's still there. We never really learn who he is. He's seen at the end of the movie switching out the sign for Hellbent. And that leads into the third movie where, it is now 2021 and Brandy he's still recovering from the events of the second movie now. And now, moving forward, it is not about the haunted houses. It is just about Brandy's recovery and all the crazy things she has to go through to, try and repress the memories of what her friends did to her. And they actually all end up in prison, for basically terrorizing this poor girl and this poor woman lady. And so, yeah. And that movie hasn't been released yet. But it will be. Because remember, the Blue Skeleton is still out there, okay? He's still out there. He It could even be underneath your pillow when you're sleeping. Actually, I saw a thumbnail for the movie Tooth Fairy, and the Tooth Fairy is laying in the bed. The Tooth Fairy is not supposed to be laying in the bed, because that would imply that a human would come and leave a tooth under the Tooth Fairy's pillow, which would make the Tooth Fairy the protagonist of the movie and make the humans the antagonist, and they're torturing the Tooth Fairy by consistently leaving teeth under the Tooth Fairy's pillow. And then, on top of it, they call the Tooth Fairy to make fun, because the Tooth Fairy was bullied in high school. Anyway, in dental school, sorry. So anyways, if you're excited for The Houses October Built 3, if you have any idea of what you think, what your theories are, which will lead us into the next video, which won't be today, but that'll be tomorrow, so stay tuned for that, because it's going to be about Art the Clown. It is going to be the history of Art the Clown, the full story leading up to... No, I'm not going to spoil anything now, but if you want to know the full story behind that, and the story of how I became close friends with Samantha, Jenna, and Catherine, then stay tuned for all that tomorrow. So, unless I get super bored and somehow throw it together by the end of tonight, but probably not going to happen, so... Besides, if you're interested, it got an approval rating of 13% based on 8 reviews, with a 3.8 out of 10. You think this film may be big budget? Because that's what I thought. But really, they just used higher quality cameras, and they used drones to film aerial perspectives. There was one point where they had a helicopter ride, but it was during the zombie run, which you can probably pay for. So, another way they saved on the budget. Just give Zach a pat on the back there. The Houses October Built 2 takes everything we loved from the first film and expands those elements, while at the same time giving us something bigger, better, and faster this go around. It was released on DVD and Blu-ray January 2nd, 2018, so if you want to add it to your shelf to collect dust, then it's actually not a bad movie. It really isn't. It's actually a really good movie, both of them. So, and if you're interested, I'll mention this. If you want a movie that's similar, in the vein of Extreme Haunted House, that promises to deliver on people's darkest fears, but this one might actually, have something, real in it, not just fake scares. And it was actually from the writers of A Quiet Place. It's called Haunt. It's released in 2019, and it's a slasher film. So yeah, it's definitely not going to be just people walking through haunted houses. Someone's about to lose a pinky. So that's all I'm going to say. And the film grossed $2.4 million, which is probably more than the budget from the first 2 Houses October Built movies. So I don't mean to insult this movie. I actually really do enjoy these 2 movies. Highly recommend them for your October watch list, or if you're a horror fan, just watch them anyway. So, and I have to forget that when I'm researching and all this stuff, that I should probably, put little placeholders so I can pull this stuff up quicker, but when I talk about it, I don't think I'll be coming back to this unless there's a third one, and somehow I'm still doing this by the time that happens. Anyways, thank you all very, very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. This gives me something worth doing in my life, and it may not be much, but it's better than nothing. or else I'd just be sitting around rotting like one of the corpses from The Walking Dead. So this gives me a purpose, and you guys give me a purpose by, contributing, by watching, and that's basically it. Just participating in these videos means a lot to me. It really does. Because it means there are people out there that actually care. And, it makes doing this, all that much more worth it, whether it's to help myself or, entertain other people. And I'd say it's a combination of both. So take pity on me and feel sympathy for me, because I'm pathetic, right? But no, everybody have a good day or a good night whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one, which, keep in mind, will be telling the real story that nobody ever told or was ever able to get straight, but I was through hours and hours of research long ago when I stayed up really, really, really late and spent hours and hours piecing the story together for the All Hallows Eve movies and Terrifier. So yeah, just stay tuned, because if I do another video, that's definitely going to be the next one. I've also got more lined up for the future, but I'm not going to spoil any of those things for you guys, because then you're not going to want to come back. You're not going to have anything to look forward to. Yeah. Remember, I don't like spoilers, so. And I wouldn't want that for you guys either. Even though I'm terrible at shouting out when I recommend you plug your eardrums with your alcohol-soaked rags. No, I'm just kidding. But, alright. Bye, friend. Virtual hug. Sorry, friends. I meant friends. I'm not singling out anyone. Everyone, back to the beginning of the video. Streamlabs is being uncooperative. Well, guess what, Streamlabs? It's time to finally end you right now. Here we go.